Tonight on To The Point.
It's very divided.
This has gotten ugly. People get ugly.
Following hours of public comment, Rocklin schools approve a new gender identity policy. Who's behind it and what happens next? Plus, alleged drug smuggling at the downtown jail. Why a healthcare worker might be involved. And thieves draining EBT cards. What the state plans to do as many of you share your stories with us. Good evening. This is To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. Teachers and staff at Rocklin Unified Schools will be required to notify parents if their children are reconsidering their gender identity in a new policy known as parental notification. You might have heard of it. The decision happened early this morning following hours of public comment last night. Hundreds of people showed up at the school board's meeting expressing their support and opposition. Tonight, a district in Orange County is considering the policy, and just yesterday in San Bernardino County, a judge halted the new policy at another school district after the state attorney general sued, saying this will hurt kids. In a statement today, the attorney general called out Rocklin Unified, saying in part, Rocklin Unified has chosen to endanger their civil rights by adopting a policy that forcibly outs California's transgender and gender non-conforming youth without consideration of their safety and well-being. We will not tolerate any policy that perpetuates discrimination, harassment, or exclusion within our educational institutions. Tonight, our Jeannie Nguyen is taking a closer look at the vote in Rocklin and what happens next.
Derek Counter?
Yes.
Tiffany Sadoff?
Yes.
Rochelle Price?
Yes.
Michelle Sutherland?
No.
Julie Hupp?
Yes.
In a packed room following hours of heated public discussion.
If you pass this, CTA will immediately file unfair labor practice charges.
The Rocklin Unified School District board members.
The central question is, what authority does a school have to withhold information from parents? And we submit there is none.
Voted Wednesday night to require teachers to notify parents when a student asks to identify as a different gender. Of the 5 board members, Michelle Sutherland voted no.
We don't have the supports for students to follow through on this, for students who then are outed. We don't, to ensure that they're safe.
Last year, Sutherland was endorsed by the Placer County Democratic Party.
They're not encouraging secrecy. They are just accepting students at face value.
While Sutherland expressed her concerns about the policy, the board's vice president, Tiffany Sadoff, made it clear where she stood on the issue.
The policy that is being provided tonight does not break state or federal law.
Sadoff was once a pastor at Destiny Christian Church and now is currently chief of staff for Republican Assemblyman Joe Patterson. Reiterating concerns from a fellow board member, Sadoff claimed she supports equal rights for all students.
I will never support harm in a home, harm of a child. Never have, never will. That is not what this policy says.
The board's president, Julie Hupp, didn't have much to say during the meeting, but has been criticized for using religion in her position. Member Derek Counter, endorsed by the Placer County Republican Party, sided with the majority of the board by adding the importance of keeping parents informed.
All that stuff that happens as you mature through from adolescence into adulthood and going through the schools, that we work those through with the family.
And Jeannie joins us now. Jeannie, there are other big players in this, right?
Alex, yes. Board member Rochelle Price actually said she voted for this in favor, who also voted in favor of this, and mentioned that there are resources for students like crisis resolution centers and LGBTQ resources to support families. And we're hearing from teachers tonight. Now, you heard during a public comment in my story that the California Teachers Association would file an unfair labor practice. Now, that's what the association told us that they're meeting about now, saying that this changes the working conditions of teachers in Rocklin without going through the proper procedures. And one Rocklin teacher had this to say.
Really, we're going to have to replace this school board. This particular school board doesn't seem to care about the voice of the community, only the voice of a few, and most of those few don't even have kids in our schools.
Now, Alex, the Teachers Association also fears this policy could be coming to places like Roseville and Auburn.
Yeah, and there's many sides to this conversation. It is something that we will continue to follow. Jeannie, thank you so much. In other news, an Auburn man will face 6.5 years in prison. He was sentenced today for his role in the January 6th attack on the nation's capital. 36-year-old Sean McHugh is also ordered to pay $2,000 in restitution and a $5,000 fine. McHugh was found guilty back in April of obstruction and assaulting, impeding, or interfering with law enforcement officers. More court dates have been added to former President Donald Trump's calendar. 2 separate civil trials in New York are moving forward. The state's attorney general alleges Trump, his sons, and the Trump organization inflated the former president's net worth. The other case involves former magazine columnist E. Jean Carroll, alleging Trump defamed her in a 2022 statement. President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, is likely to be indicted on a gun charge by the end of this month. That's according to the special counsel's newly filed court documents. The special counsel is also expected to reintroduce the tax charges against Hunter Biden at a later date in either Washington or California. And tonight, investigators are looking into alleged attempts to smuggle drugs and escape tools into Sacramento County Jail. 4 people, including a healthcare worker, are facing 10 different charges. Our Devin Truby was in the courtroom today.
A total of 4 people being charged with bringing meth, cocaine, and drill bits into the Sacramento County Jail on August 29th.
To enter not guilty pleas and denials.
23-year-old Tamani Dinashe Zachary pled not guilty to 10 counts on Thursday.
Ms. Harris is going to enter not guilty pleas.
So did 23-year-old Zarania Deprecia Harris, who sources tell ABC 10 is a medical professional contracted to work inside the jail. But ABC 10 couldn't find her in the medical license database. Adult Correctional Health hires the contractors, but said due to short staffing, couldn't get to our request. Also facing charges of possessing, selling, and bringing drugs into the jail, along with items to use them, is 45-year-old James Willard Whitefield. This is his mugshot from 2006 when he was convicted of attempted murder. Co-defendant Donald Lewis Zachary also already has 2 strikes against him in the legal system, convicted of attempted first-degree residential burglary.
There's ready access to controlled substances in the jails right now, and people are dying from them.
Advocates like Margot Mendelson, legal director of prison law offices, say this just shines a light on the bigger issue happening in our prison system. Problems, she says, could be easily prevented.
In a manner very similar to what happens in prisons all across California, which is that staff, when they enter the jail, are subject to screening to ensure that they aren't bringing contraband into the prisons or jails. The sheriff's office in Sacramento has refused to,
stating there have been 3 overdoses this year in the Sacramento County Jail and others that didn't lead to death. They sent a request to the Sacramento County Sheriff to implement a policy to screen staff. ABC 10 got a copy of that memo and the county's emailed response denying it.
Staff aren't the problem. That's not where the drugs are getting in. So what we're going to do is do more searching of incarcerated people, more searching of their visitors, more searching of their lawyers. And this incident, or as charged, at least if true, indicates what we all know is true anyway, which is that, of course, staff are introducing, in some circumstances, contraband into the jails and prisons. This happens in every system.
And that was Devin Truby reporting. Right now, Governor Newsom and the Department of Corrections are looking into updating the state's strip search policy for visitors. Advocates are concerned it will just give more staff leeway when needing probable cause for the searches. And there are new efforts to address the fentanyl crisis. Governor Newsom is sending more National Guard troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. 60 soldiers will now be at the 4 ports of entry to intercept illicit drug smuggling. The governor's office says last year, CalGuard's efforts helped law enforcement seize nearly 30,000 pounds of fentanyl. Still ahead, on to the point, thieves draining EBT cards. What the state tells us they plan to do.
Highs today in the upper 80s with 88 in Sacramento. The average 90, so slightly below that. We'll see how the weekend is faring and when we may be seeing a heat up.
And sports betting is now legal in another state on the night of the very first NFL game. All right, let's check out our weather with meteorologist Carly Gomez. It's actually been pretty nice outside. It hasn't felt as hot. Are we officially in fall now?
Right. I mean, we started September and we've actually been dealing with just below the average temperatures this time of year, which is nice. We're on par for where we should be for the most part, which is hopefully indicative that we may stay this way, at least for the next couple of weeks. Just looking into the crystal ball for the next 10 days, we're looking good. As we take a look at the highs today, upper 80s, low 90s, and really right around 91 and 90 degrees is average this time of year. And we're looking at mid to low 80s in the foothill spots for the highs today, with mid 70s for South Lake Tahoe and Truckee. All right, we do have a few high pressure systems in place, and for our area, this is what's called a zonal flow. The jet stream really almost just cutting us right through the middle here. Instead of seeing the up and down roller coaster that we've been seeing since the summer months, those conditions there with the jet stream is typically what gives us the very hot days, the very cool days. We're kind of just staying flat here, which is great. We're seeing temperatures where they should be, high in place with sunshine, but we are going to start to see just a bit more headed our way. Let's talk about the watches and warnings Southern California is dealing with, and that's an excessive heat warning as they have high pressure in place and a lot of heat headed their way until Sunday 8 p.m. If you had plans to head to Palm Springs or just had plans maybe even to head into Arizona, you'll be dealing with some of that heat. For us, though, we're looking good, but we do have a slight chance to see some thunderstorm activity. We're seeing that near Patterson, Los Banos, pushing all the way up toward Yosemite. Saturday, this is morning hours. And then finally, as we get into the afternoon, evening, 6 p.m., you see some thunderstorm chances from just South Lake Tahoe toward Yosemite and then further south as well. So we're tracking that as we've also been tracking a tropical storm, a hurricane just off the eastern Pacific. That is Hova, Hurricane Hova. A Category 4 hurricane will bring in some moisture to our area, but we're not looking at a lot of rain. All right, as we take a look, low 90s, upper 80s out there in those foothill spots. Bay Area looking at upper 60s to mid 70s. And as we get that look here at that 10-day forecast for you, we will be dealing with low 90s for the next couple of days. Mid 90s there for the farm to fork dinner there on Sunday, and then upper 90s Monday. After that, though, we're looking pretty good with those temperatures sitting in those mid to upper 80s.
Next, on To The Point, many of you are reaching out to us. Thieves draining your EBT cards, what the state plans to do about it. And a proposed battery facility causes concerns for family safety. We'll have that coming up after the break. There's a money crime on the rise in California, and it's hurting families in need and all of us taxpayers. And we're talking about EBT theft. EBT cards are how low-income Californians enrolled in CalFresh or CalWorks get their monthly stipend. Thieves are stealing money by skimming, where someone quickly installs a device in an existing card reader that steals info from the magnetic strip with every swipe. Others will use phishing. Altogether, between the two programs, thieves have stolen more than $86 million in a little under 2 years. Now, many of you have been sharing your stories with us, like Chelsea. She is out of Shasta County. She had more than $800 stolen from her account just 19 minutes after it was deposited, leaving her with only $13. She canceled her card, filed a police report, and spent about 5 hours on the phone with EBT customer service because so many people had called to report the exact same issue. So I want to go ahead and bring in Chelsea now. Chelsea, what was your initial thought when you saw that all of your money had been taken?
I was really worried that somebody got a hold of my information or like took a picture of my card or something, because I was very confused since it was an online withdrawal from an ATM and you would have to have a physical card to do that. And so that's where it got me very confused.
Now, you rely on that money for many things, especially taking care of your son. Can you talk about some of the emotions you felt once you realized all that money was gone?
A pretty deep hole in my stomach of worries of how I'm going to be able to pay for my for rent and pay for electricity, pay my car insurance. My son has severe ADHD and ODD. The money helps me pay for things for him, like his trips to the doctor, his gas money, his housing. It helps me with food for when I don't have food stamps at the time. It just anything my son needs, that is the source of how I'm able to provide for him.
And what happens next? How many days were you told that you have to wait for that reimbursement?
Within 10 days, they will contact me. But with everybody, all this happening to so many people, the waiting time could be even longer because they have to process so many families' income.
Is there anything that you feel the state could be doing better to protect your account?
I believe that if they did have a chip or better security for the cards itself, that it would help a lot.
We reached out to the California Department of Social Services to see if there are any plans to get chips for EBT cards. In a statement, the state responded saying, in part, in partnership with our EBT vendor, federal partners, and other stakeholders, CDSS is actively working to develop and deploy the use of chip and tap technologies on EBT cards, and there is no specific timeline as to when that will happen. And right now, state lawmakers are rushing to get hundreds of bills past the finish line and on Governor Gavin Newsom's desk. One bill moving on would allow religious institutions and nonprofit colleges to turn their parking lots and other properties into low-income housing. The idea was introduced last winter to allow these groups to bypass most local permitting and environmental review rules. The state Senate will need to give its approval before the bill heads to the governor's desk. Another bill now moving to the governor's desk is one that would decriminalize possession and use of mushrooms and other plant-based psychedelics. It does not decriminalize sales. It was passed by the Senate just hours ago. If approved by the governor, the bill would go into effect in 2025. And tonight, the city of Vacaville is holding a community meeting over this piece of land on Leisure Town Road. The plan is for it to become a battery storage location, and some neighbors are concerned about fires and evacuations if something happened there. They say that they have taken their concerns to the city.
There's hazards involved. It shouldn't be near people where they live and work.
We are deeply aware of the community's concerns about the safety of the facility. And quite frankly, city staff in our early review of this proposal have a lot of the very same concerns.
Vacaville's community development director says the proposal is still in the early stages and no decision has been made to approve or deny the project. So far, the city council has allowed the applicant to evaluate the property, but the applicant has not filed a formal development application yet. We've talked about it before on the show. Sports betting is becoming legal in more states. Californians were asked to vote on legalizing it last year, and it failed horribly. Meanwhile, today, sports betting officially got underway in Kentucky. The first wagers were placed at Churchill Downs.
Over in the Louisville game of 54.5.
With game picks at his fingertips.
Copy the governor's bet, $10 to win 85.
Drew Diener and so many others in Kentucky finally getting to cash in and cash out.
Coming out to this track since I'm, in grade school. And so, yeah, it does feel like we're kind of back to, in real society.
Diener, a talk show host at ESPN Louisville, understands as well as anyone the sports lovers who live within the state. And now, the historic place where gambling on horse racing has existed for more than 100 years has expanded its options.
I've wanted to not have to drive across river to Indiana to bet for a long time.
Thank you very much for coming. Kentucky's governor on site. Andy Beshear projecting $23 million in annual tax revenue from sports betting.
Is the $23 million a little bit of an under-promise, over-deliver? Because it seems like a lot of experts believe it's going to be a lot more.
Well, certainly every expectation across the United States has typically been exceeded, whether that is what was bet on the Super Bowl this last year, which was a record. So I expect we will see more revenue than that.
The governor has said the majority of the tax dollars will go toward the state pension system, but didn't specify how it'll be divvied up. Meanwhile, Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg thrilled with the expected boost to the local economy.
When you think about people that are coming here to visit that are doing this, they're spending so much more in our city. It's great for hotels, it's great for restaurants, it's great for all of the other bourbon attractions that people are going to visit.
And if this line of sports fans is any indicator,
exactly what you're used to doing.
The demand could only grow from here.
If Californians want sports betting legalized here, the next chance is on the 2024 ballot. So far, no initiatives have been posted to the Attorney General's website. Next, on To the Point, a feature film about Stockton's NASA astronaut. He's a migrant farm worker turned NASA astronaut turned winemaker. There's a school named after him in Stockton, and now he's the focus of a feature film. It's called A Million Miles Away, and screenings have been happening in our area. It's a film about the life of astronaut Jose Hernandez, who grew up around Stockton and graduated from UOP back in 1984. We recently caught up with him to hear more about who he hopes the movie inspires.
I'm hoping that
this empowers people to say, hey, we all have goals. I have my goal, but after seeing this film, my goal is up here now, and I want to reach my maximum potential.
The film premieres on Amazon Prime later this month, and now you can also catch it in select theaters for one night only on September 13th. Tickets are already selling out, and we have linked showtimes on our website, abc10.com/tothepoint. As always, let us know what's going on in your community. You can always reach out to me and send me and the team an email at tothepoint@abc10.com. Have a great night. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.